Hello, this is Roland. Checking in to see how you're doing. Hope you're doing well. A lot of you aren't doing so well. You've got issues. Spiritual issues, physical issues, emotional issues, relationship issues, and financial issues. Okay? Now, a lot of you sense, you know, that somehow you're missing the mark. Somehow you're missing the mark in everything that you do. Everything that you do. Even your successes. Even when you reach that goal that you set or that somebody else set for you or seduced you into having or challenged you, into having or teased you into having. Even if you reach that goal, and then what? After you reach it, are you happy? No. You're happy for a few minutes, maybe a day, and then it wears off. And then you sometimes suffer a depression, or you say, "Is that all there is?" Or what now? Or you're terribly disappointed because it wasn't what you thought, or it didn't change your life the way you thought it would. Like a degree, for example. Okay? I'm not saying that getting a degree is a bad thing. I'm not saying that. And it can open some doors. When I got my degree, my master's degree, my bachelor's degree opened doors, and then my master's degree opened doors too, to teaching opportunities at universities, okay, which I enjoyed a lot, okay, and it opened up corporate opportunities too, long time ago when I was a young man, okay. So I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. What I am saying is that you have to find a way that the things that you do work for good. See, that everything you do ends up being positive. Now, we all know some people that everything they touch turns to gold. They make money all the time, and perhaps you wonder, how do they do that? Okay, well, maybe there's a little bit of magic there, or blessing upon them. Okay, that doesn't mean that it couldn't happen to you too, financially, but for most people it doesn't. But that's not the main thing. The main thing is all the things of your life, your work, your relationships with your partner, with your children, with your parents, with other people, okay, and your relationship with God. Those are the most important things, okay? Now, a lot of you, like I said, you go through life and you basically do what other people say you should do, and somehow it doesn't quite work out. Okay? And you wonder why. Isn't it working out? So what is the answer? The question is then, how can you like Paul said. He said, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but something like whether I'm in abundance or whether I have nothing. Either way, I'm fine. Okay? It should be the same with you, whether you have a lot of money or you don't have any money. Okay? You should be fine. So what's going on? Why aren't you happy with the things that you have? Okay? Well, a lot of it has okay, let's talk about that. Okay? The first reason is because you either didn't have the right motivation or the right motive. You either didn't have the right motivation or the right motive. Let's talk about those two things. Okay. Well, let's talk about motive first and then motivation. The motive is why you're doing something. Okay? Now, the reason to do something is because it makes sense. Okay? Intuitively, you sense it's the thing to do, the right thing to do. Or an opportunity opens up and you check with your conscience and it seems okay, and you're not being withheld from it for any reason, so you go for the opportunity. Okay? Or there's no opportunity, but you're waiting. But in the meantime, you develop skills and practice, maybe study, to prepare yourself. See, which is fine. Okay, but the things that you do should be things that make good sense and that you are interested in, that seem right for you. But a lot of times what we do is what other people told us to do. Other people pushed you in a certain direction. See, or they challenged you or teased you or goaded you. If you were good at school and good at math, then they tried to force you into math and science, for example. Become an engineer or a doctor or something. Maybe that wasn't for you. Maybe it was for you, but I'm just saying, if it wasn't for you, then they pushed you in the wrong direction. You see what I mean? So, responding to the seduction and the challenge of tease, see, that's the wrong motivation. Everything we do should be inwardly impelled, not as a reaction to tease or challenge on the outside. Okay? So you can see how if you have the wrong motive, so now let's talk about a really wrong motive, resentment, which ties in also with the tease and challenge. If you resent the pressure, somebody teased you and they said, well, you can't do it, you're not good enough, you're dumb, or whatever. Or they said, oh, you're so smart, if you don't go this way, you're an idiot, or see what I mean? They teased you. Or other let's say some other kid was doing well in some subject, and your parents said, oh, he is so wonderful and so smart, and why can't you be like him? See the comparison thing, or compared you with your brother or sister or someone. And you resented it. Okay? Or you resented other kids that were smarter than you, or the president of the class or the quarterback of the football team. You resented their success and their popularity, see, and so you resented them, and then out of resentment you said, I'll show them. Well, see, resentment is the wrong motivation, because it's a little bit of hatred, it's a little bit of anger, it's a negative reaction to tease on the outside. Okay? Or you hated them. You hated people who were doing well, or who were smarter than you. Okay? So then you wanted to try to be like them. But hatred is not a proper motivation. See how those are all wrong? And so also failing, see, some people then go the other way. They drop out, they join a gang, they refuse to study and take lowly jobs, and their motivation again is resentment. Their motive is resentment. Well, actually, now we're getting close to motivation. See, I said motivation, I meant motive, but then motivation is also the right word. So resentment kind of crosses the line there and is both. So motive is why you did something, and then motivation is the driving force, the force, the energy to do something. And a lot of you take your energy from resentment. See, it's only when there's a big problem, and then you resent the problem, and then you rush to solve it. See, instead of solving it on a timely basis. See? So a lot of you say, let's say when you were a little kid, somebody pressured you to clean your room. I'm just going to make up an example. They pressured you, and your mom said, you're no good, you're just like your dad, you're never going to amount to anything, you're lazy, you're blah, blah, blah. Why can't you be like your sister who's so wonderful and cleans her room all the time? See, so you resented that. Okay, I'm just making something up. You have to fit your own circumstances to the principles that I'm elucidating here, okay? So you resent it. So then when you grew up, then you rebelled and you never cleaned your room. So you let all the trash pile up and garbage and everything. Your room became a big mess. You didn't clean it up, or you didn't wash the dishes, or whatever, okay? Out of resentment of the pressure. But then it piles up and piles up and piles up. But it could be anything. It could be paying bills, see, or it could be anything. You don't want to do it. You can't. You don't want to. You resent doing it, so you just don't do it, and you don't do it. But then what happens? Then all of a sudden you have to do it. It's the end of the month. It's the last day of the month. You have to pay the bills. See, your room is such a mess, and somebody looks at it and comments on it, and you resent that, and so now you resent the mess. And in resentment, you build up energy to clean your room like a whirling dervish. Clean, 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 okay? Or pay the bills or whatever. With the motivation, with the energy of anger, resentment. See? A lot of you get angry and do something. I'll never forget a long time ago when I was a young man. I was working for a big corporation at the time. I was investigating accidents, and there was an accident that I investigated. There was a man who was taking apart a crane boom, and it collapsed on him and crushed him, and he was very seriously injured. Okay, so I worked with him for a long time to help him with his getting a medical, physical therapy, and that kind of stuff. That was part of my job also. Okay, well, he was a very nice man, and he got better, and he made almost a full recovery. Okay, he still had shoulder stiffness and this and that, but then he was okay. But years later, he took me aside one day and he said, "I want to tell you the truth about why it happened." He said, "I was in the office with the other worker who was supposed to help me. It was supposed to be two men doing it, and I was in there, and the other worker was joking around with the foreman or something, and I became angry, and I stormed out and started angrily disassembling the crane boom on my own, and then it happened. See, so it was anger. So how many of you, when you're angry, you mess something up? You say things you shouldn't say, or you break something. You angrily try to fix something and break it instead. See? Or you're angry at your kids and yell at them. Not good, okay? So you see the motivation, the anger, the resentment. Okay? So you go from one extreme to another. Procrastination, and then angrily doing what you should have done a long time ago naturally. See? Or you yell and scream at your kids in anger, and then you go to the other extreme of being too permissive because you don't want to be angry and you feel guilty for being angry. Then they take advantage and then you become angry again. See, one extreme to the other. So the proper motivation is to be inwardly impelled and do what's right or what's wise. So you can live your whole life that way, moment by moment. See, every moment, delicately moving, okay? And always checking with your conscience. See, if your conscience doesn't restrain you, then you go ahead. Okay? And you just live life delicately doing this and doing that and taking care of this and taking care of that. And then one day leads to another and one thing leads to another. And before you know it, you're in the right place doing the right thing. Succeeding at it. Maybe not a big success. Maybe you won't become a multimillionaire, okay? Although you could, but probably you won't. Okay? But you can be modestly successful at your work. See? A decent mom, a decent dad. Okay? And then you can enjoy what you have. See, the worst thing in the world is to get something in a wrong way. I mean, like stealing something is wrong, okay? Or lying and cheating to get your way, or manipulating other people, or see, you know that that's not right. When you get what you get, you can't be happy with it because it's tainted with guilt and conflict. Okay? And so likewise, in a very subtle way, see, this is very subtle, so it's not something you're going to obviously see. I mean, sure, you might obviously say, okay, my mom pushed me to play the piano, I resented my mom, okay, but out of resentment I felt guilty, So then out of guilt I continued, then I went that route. But now that's not really wasn't for me. See? But if you can forgive your mom, okay, if you can forgive your mom, not resent your mom anymore, not resent the piano, not resent anything, not resent yourself, just let go of the resentment, okay? And then if you see it's not for you, then you could do something else, okay? You still need to make a little money playing the piano, fine, go ahead, make a little money playing the piano, it's not so bad. But in the meantime, you can be studying or starting a little business on the side, to do something else, okay? Now let's say you're a doctor, and everybody pushed you all the time. Oh, you're so smart, your grades are so good, you should become a doctor. You see? So you went that route, but you're not happy now. There was some resentment there. It's got to be resentment, resenting those people that pressured you. See? They didn't have real love for you. It seemed like love at the time. It wasn't. Okay? So now what you need to do is forgive them. Forgive them. Okay? Then maybe being a doctor is still for you. See? Okay, so now you no longer are resentful, and you see that it's for you. So now you have the right motivation and the right motive. Your motive now is what? To do good, or to do what naturally seems right or wise, and your motivation is doing the right thing. It's a gracefulness, industriousness, not ambition. See, ambition is a wrong motive, but industriousness is fine. See? So now you can be the doctor or not be the doctor. Okay? Be the pianist or not be the pianist. You're free. You're free to do whichever. Okay? Or if you're in a job now that you resent, let's say you have a job now that you resent. Very common. Okay? Well, now take a look. First of all, so there's two areas where it could be an issue. Number one, it could be the motive, why you're working or started working there. See, and then if there was ambition or hating someone or being jealous or just copping out on what you knew in your heart and just going along with what people told you, well, if you see that, then just see it. That's all. Just bear the little bit of pain of seeing that was the case, and then you'll be free of it. Okay? And then motivation, you have to look at that. Right? What is your motivation? Are you angry? You go to work and become resentful toward people, and then guilty for the resentment, and then work hard out of anger, and then resent having to work hard. You see what I mean? And then working so hard you get tired or you get health problems, and then resenting them, and see how that all gets. So you're just going to have to put all those things on the table and look at them and see the resentment factor and let go of the resentment. So after you've let go of the resentment, okay, now you're free to look at the job and continue. Now with the right motive and the right motivation, you can enjoy all the things about it, including the benefits and the pay and everything. You can enjoy it all. Okay? Because your conflict and your guilt is gone. On the other hand, you're free to look at it and say, well, this is really not for me. So then you could quietly, find something else. Okay? All right. So life is a bit more delicate. There are moments when there's an opportunity when you can step through the door. A door opens up and you step through. And you didn't plan for it. You didn't scheme for it. It just happened. Okay? And it's beautiful. And then you don't have to feel guilty for having planned and schemed. Because it just there was the opportunity. It was too good to say no. And you check with your conscience. There was no reason for not taking it. And so you went ahead, see? See how that works? See how easy it is? Okay, so when the resentment is gone, you'd be surprised how nice things can be. Your whole life can be happy. Everything can be, and the things that don't work out right, sometimes things don't work out right. And look, God, when you read the Bible, you see that a lot of the nice thing about the Bible is that it shows, for example, the patriarchs, like Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and the prophets, Enoch and Elijah, Isaiah, Jeremiah, all these people. Okay, David, See, it shows them, and for the most part, they all had some flaws. They weren't perfect. They weren't walking on water. Even Moses. See, he had a little anger problem when he was a younger guy, and then toward the end he kind of messed up a little bit. Okay, but he ended up in heaven, though. Remember, when at the Transfiguration, Moses appeared with Jesus, and I think it was Elijah. I forget who it was there, but anyway. So okay, so they weren't perfect. The Bible makes that clear. Okay, they weren't perfect, and then some of them went through some tribulation, trials. Things didn't work out. They weren't working out at all. Well, there were lessons to be learned. Okay, often humility, relying on God. Okay, so so the point is that you're not going to always get to point. Let's say the ultimate point that you might get to, which is just where God wants you to be and where you're supposed to be. That point is, let's say, point F. Okay. So you're not going to go from point A to point F just boom like that. You're probably going to go to point B and then point C and then point D, which seems the opposite direction. And then, see what I mean? It seems like but then somehow on this zigzag course, you eventually end up somewhere. Okay? But if you live each day at a time wanting to do what you know is right in your heart. Okay? You want to do what's right in your heart. So you don't resent people, don't take advantage, you're fair, okay? And you're always looking at the rightness of things, okay? Well, you live each day that way, and then God says what? The steps of the just person are ordered by God. God orders the steps of the just person. So you'll be going along, living by faith. That's what faith is. Faith is trusting, is looking inwardly to see what you wordlessly know in your heart, what the wordless guidance or instruction, or what your intuition, has to say. Your conscience. You're always looking there. Okay? And then you do what you know is right in your heart. Okay? Suddenly there's a way of making money, but it involves cheating a little bit or being dishonest. Everybody says do it, but you don't do it. So everybody says, why you didn't do that? Or there's another way that seems, everybody says, oh, you've got to do that. Okay, but it's just not right somehow. You just sense that it's not right. So you don't do it. And then everybody says, oh my God, And then something else you do, and everybody says, well, that was dumb. Where do you think you are, goody two-shoes? And where you think but you just knew in your heart you had was to do, and then things work out right for you. Okay, it's amazing. See, God weaves magic into everything. If your life is not magical, okay, then probably you're resentful. You're following goals that were set for you by other people, and then you're resenting a lot of things, and then your motivation is anger, and so on, you see? So you should get the meditation that I have so you can stand back, get some objectivity. It's not going to help you to struggle with your problems or struggle with your emotions. It just involves you in the more. Stand back, whatever your issues are. Or if you have issues, PTSD and all these other things, whatever. Stand back, then look at it, okay? Watch it. Stand back. God gives us the capacity to stand back. See, an animal is fused to the environment. The animal sees or hears something and reacts. Sees and hears something and reacts. Okay? But a human being can stand back and observe what's happening in the environment and observe self. Okay? So you can have a thought, but you can also be the observer of thought. There's a feeling, you can also be the observer of feeling. There's something happening, you can stand back. You don't have to react and come unglued. You can stand back and observe it objectively. So you need to do that. And then start living each day, doing what you know is right in your heart. Okay? And Instead of ambitiously planning and scheming to make everything work out, you know, how many times have you gone on a vacation or something, and you know, it just fun things happened, and it was just wonderful. See, but then other times you planned and schemed and every little thing, and then you tried to, and then whatever you planned and schemed, it just wasn't so good, okay, or didn't work out. So best thing, you know, is to, it doesn't mean that we can't, you know, make business plans, or you know, buy a ticket in advance, and of course we do those things. But what I'm saying is just to have an attitude of expecting something good to happen and not knowing what it is. Okay, expecting something good. No, God's going to come up with something. You don't know what it is. Okay, so you just live your life and do what's right. Okay, and then you wait to be surprised. Okay, my name is Roland.